You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Married to Jonas After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Married to Jonas After Show.
Hello, Jonas fans. Bing is for doing, and we're doing our first official after show for Married to Jonas here on AFTERBUZZ TV. It is the season premiere tonight, and it was so exciting. It was called Dinner with the In-Laws. I'm your host, Cathy Kelley, and I am joined by my two lovely co-hosts today. I'm getting tongue-tied. Two lovely co-hosts. So I'm going to let you ladies introduce yourselves.
Hey, guys. I'm Christy-Anne Lopez.
Hey, I'm Gracie.
And what did you guys think of this episode today?
The show is so funny.
Yeah?
I really liked it. I really liked it. I mean, I'm not trying to offend anyone or anything, but I thought it was so much better than I expected. And I'm really happy, and I'm really excited to see the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I was completely pleasantly surprised at how lovely the show was, and it was so much fun. It was really cute, and she's so endearing, and, you know, I'm just like, oh, I want to be a part of their family.
Yeah, I totally agree. And before we start to talk about, really delve into the entire show, just want to thank all of the fans out there who made our show #1 on AFTERBUZZ TV's iTunes.
So awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. But yeah, so the first impressions of the show, what do you think?
To be honest, I thought it was so hilarious how the very first scene of the entire show, Kevin's walking out of the bathroom and they're talking about taking a poop. She's like, oh, did you blow that up? He's like, yeah, you know it. Like, wow, really? That's how we're going to start the show? You just, you know, just got off the toilet? Cool. You know?
I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. You still have to go
exactly.
#2 as well.
Yeah.
Even if you're a Jonas brother.
You go #2.
Yeah. And it's funny because 2 years into their marriage, essentially, they're already that comfortable with each other. I don't know if I would be that comfortable with someone after 2-3 years.
I mean, I don't know if I would be comfortable talking about it on TV, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it was him who was the one walking out of the bathroom, not her. So that's the difference. Because guys, you know, most of the time they really don't care. And girls, we do. We care.
Yeah, definitely. So, meet the DeLisas. What do you think of Danielle's family? Like, they're very Italian, very, I don't know, they've got a lot of energy. It seems like her dad's a huge character.
Oh my God, Bucky. Already my favorite. Already my favorite. Like, the things that just came out of his mouth. The fact that he just showed up unannounced, like, what's up? Dad's here. You know what I mean? Like, that just shows how comfortable their family and how close their family is. You know, and just like the girls were all, like you said, had so much energy and kind of had these strong personalities, but not overbearing, crazy personalities, just like girlfriends you want to hang out with.
Yeah.
I mean, the dad is Italian, so it's just, you know, you married my daughter. I am welcome to come to your house. Your house is my house. My family is your family. That's just the way it goes. I mean, totally reminds me of my dad, Italian dad from New Jersey. Texted me a picture of like eggplant parm. I mean, I just love the way they're cooking together and having fun together. It's just, it's so sweet.
Yeah. Well, it seems like Kevin's a little bit taken aback and still getting used to how different his family is compared to Danielle's. And we'll talk about that later in the episode once we get introduced to the Jonases. But it's so funny how Bucky, Danielle's dad, comes into the house just kind of unannounced while they're still laying in bed together, and he talks about food for a solid 3 minutes of this episode.
So cute. And he was so detailed, so detailed about like, you gotta pluck the chicken off, and you gotta do this, you gotta do that. It's like, oh my God.
Scoop the little nice melon ball.
This is how you do the chicken. You put your Parmesan on. He's doing his own cooking show.
Yeah.
Married to Jonas.
That's coming next.
That would be so cool. What I thought was interesting, though, is that Danielle comes from, a family full of girls, and Kevin comes from a family full of boys. So I think, that's going to play a lot into how Kevin feels not uncomfortable, but, still trying to fit into their family dynamic, and how Dani still is trying to fit into, the Jonas clan.
Mm-hmm. Like when they had a little misunderstanding where he made the joke and, it didn't really fly with her. I mean, that would fly with a family full of boys. It doesn't fly, that kind of
banana joke.
Right,
Exactly.
with a family full of girls.
And I get where she was coming from. I think she was just more embarrassed that it was on television. If it was just that joke and it was, just them two laying in bed together, it would be completely different than in front of her family and then airing on E.
Yeah. And I think she was just honestly misinterpreted. Like, she meant it as just like, I know that you don't like bananas, but I'm going to stick it in your bed, haha. But he turned it into like a sexual thing. And she was like, oh my God, I didn't mean to say it like that. You know?
She was more embarrassed than mad. But it's also really interesting to see. She talks about how she comes from this very lively, upbeat family who's just loud and vivacious, and he comes from more of a put together, calm family, but she's so quiet. She's very shy.
Yeah. You definitely see a difference in her personality compared to her sisters. Like, she's just a lot more subdued, and just doesn't need to be in the spotlight or need that type of attention, which I think that's probably why they work such a good balance, her and Kevin.
Yeah. And she's so, sweet and naive, like in a very sweet way. I mean, she made that one comment about the food not being pork. I thought that was so cute. Totally reminded me of
the Newlyweds.
Exactly.
Chicken of the Sea. She had no idea that bacon was pork.
Yeah. It is, isn't it?
That was cute, yeah. But what do you think of, Kevin and Danielle now that we get to see a little bit more of their personalities?
They seem so real. Like, even in just talking about the whole entire, banana misinterpretation thing, like, I can totally relate that to my own relationship, where it's like, I meant one thing, he thought of it as something else, and that's exactly how we would kind of, take care of the situation. Like, I would explain clearly, like, I didn't mean that, and yeah, that was embarrassing. Like, I just feel like they clearly communicated what the miscommunication was, just like a real relationship. It wasn't one of those blown out things where they're trying to, like, throw stuff at each other. Like, they had a real, conversation.
And they're just so in love with each other. It's so clear and evident that they're just 100% in love with each other. And I mean, I'm a little jaded, but it really seems like they're meant to be together.
Aw. Yeah, I think it is apparent that they have this chemistry or this connection that just, it's really evident throughout the entire show. But so getting more into Danielle's family, we got to see her father, her mother, her two sisters, but we didn't really get to see her brother, which I know that they mentioned on the show. So do you think that he'll play into the season at all, or he's going to be off camera the entire time?
I mean, I hope so. I hope they bring the bro in.
Yeah.
I want to meet the bro.
Yeah.
I want to know who the bro is.
Delisa bro.
But you like her sisters.
Oh my God, I love her sisters.
Her sisters are so funny.
The older sister is hilarious.
Dina?
Yes. So funny.
When she was talking about that whole scene where they were kind of in a cafe and talking about how Danielle's going to cook for the Jonas family, it was funny to see how I've always heard how different sets of in-laws may not always see eye to eye on everything, and it seems like Danielle's family is like, oh, how are you going to deal with Mrs. Jonas being type A and blah blah blah. But it'll be interesting to see how the two clash throughout the season.
I'm really looking forward to that. That's some good healthy drama right there.
I mean, that's just a lot to think about. I mean, if I was Dani, I would feel intimidated just to be putting on an in-law dinner, but to put on an in-law dinner for a family of pop star, a pop star business family, that is scary.
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like she has more pressure just coming from her family. Even though they were trying to make it lighthearted and a funny situation, it almost made her more nervous.
Yeah.
Sure, because her parents, or especially her dad and the mom, they were just like, you have to be the best host. You can't just cook anything. You have to cook this 5-star amazing meal, You can't just give them chicken and rice.
Yeah.
No pressure.
But she did end up giving them chicken.
Yeah.
And then also her family mentioned that they should have a family dinner with both sets of the Jonases and the Delisas.
That would be interesting. I really hope that dinner comes.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
At some point throughout the season.
But I was curious because the girls came in, so the Lisa girls helped Dani out, but then did she ever mention to the Jonases that, like, yeah, my sisters helped me, or did she just try to take credit for the entire thing?
I don't think it was mentioned on camera. It might have been mentioned off camera or in a scene that we didn't see.
Yeah.
But
because I thought it was really funny when Kevin's mom was like, "Oh God, you did such a great job without even breaking a sweat," and she was kind of like,
she was just quiet. She didn't say anything.
Say that they helped me? Do I just say credit? Thanks. Oh
I would have done that too.
Yeah, I know. No, I really would have. That's why I was curious.
Unless it's bad, then my sisters helped me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I really want to talk about the next thing, which was the Jonas Brothers going into the studio. But first, before we do that, I want to mention you should go to iTunes if you're a fan of the show and subscribe to us, comment, like us, tell us what you think about the show and how we're doing, anything that you want to see on our after show, and especially tell a friend, because that is how we keep the lights on here at AfterBuzz TV and bring you all this amazing free content.
No, if you tell a friend, it stays cool. Here's what I'm going to say. A lot of good things coming up in the fall, especially Married to Jonas.
This is Phil, by the way.
This is Phil.
Yeah, Phil.
Executive producer Phil here. No, because as you guys discovered this podcast, you know, you guys are now in the know. And as it gets more and more popular, and people are like, wow, this is really cool, and you go to tell them, like, actually, I knew about it from the beginning. They're like, no, you didn't. You're just trying to ride the bandwagon. So now, verify that you were actually indeed cool by telling a friend, and B, rating and commenting, because then that's a timestamp of you knowing about this way in advance.
Proof that you knew about it before the rest of the people.
That's right.
Cool proof.
Yeah, cool proof. So we really got to see, thanks for that, Phil, by the way, for chiming in.
No problem.
But we got to see the Jonas Brothers going into studio. And they haven't had a record out since 2009. Their last record was Lines, Vines, and Trying Times. And so it's really nice to see them getting back together and working on an album.
Yeah. Well, one, I'm just glad that they're participating in the show in general, that we are able to, like, you know, see them as a part of their lives. And I don't know about you guys, I was really excited to kind of see what their dynamic is in studio. And I don't know, it was really intense, I thought. I mean, you can tell that all of these guys are super creative, but Nick really takes his work very seriously, and you can really tell that he is just straight business-minded. It's his way or the highway. I don't know. I think that's how I felt about the whole thing.
I mean, they definitely seemed a little competitive to me with who can come up with, you know, better lyrics. And, you know, they each definitely had very strong opinions as to which ones they should go with. So it was definitely interesting to see how they dealt with that, too, because I mean, I would think that three boys, you know, they'd kind of be brawling about it, but they just seem to deal with it by being quiet a little bit and just letting him have his way.
Yeah. Well, when you have three people, it's such a weird dynamic because someone always kind of has to take that lead. And it looked like Nick was taking the lead in this. And while everyone wants to put in their creative, you know, opinion, it's hard to kind of balance that and who's right in what situation. I'm sure that in many other instances, Kevin took the lead on it, but it seemed like in this, you know, part that they showed, it was Nick all the way.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he was getting full on ignored. He was like, Nick, anyone listening to me? I felt so bad. And because he's the oldest brother, you know.
I wonder if down the road if we'll see if, you know, one will side with the other and then it will be two against one, or, you know, if any of those family dynamics will happen. That's always interesting because when you have three, it's always like 2 and 1, and then it can always switch off.
Yes.
Well, Nick was originally the one who had the record contract. When they were first starting out, they signed with Columbia, and originally Columbia just wanted Nick. But when they saw that, you know, Joe and Kevin could sing as well, they brought in all three, made the band. So maybe Nick just feels like he should take the lead.
Yeah. I mean, he did have his solo. I mean, he somewhat had his solo career. I don't know.
He had his own band, yeah. And then Joe did his solo.
Joe did his thing too.
Solo thing too. Kevin was really the only one that didn't do his own solo thing. He got married. I guess that's solo.
Right. Yeah.
But there
he took the purity ring off.
There is power in numbers for sure.
Yeah. But I know that fans are so excited, even if they are brawling in studio, to get a new album because we've waited so long for this new one to come. Yeah.
I mean, and it'll just be different because I think Kevin said in his, in his interviews, he's like, we're not teenagers anymore. We're not like a teenage boy pop band. Like, it's gonna be different.
They said it's gonna be a lot more mature.
Yeah.
In their sound and their lyrics and everything. I mean, their fans are growing up, and the brothers have to mature as well. So. And
maybe that is why there was a lot of pressure and a lot of like intensity. Because they know that they have to deliver something that's not exactly what they used to always do, but still be themselves,
It's also hard getting back into the swing of things if they've taken this long break to come back together and be that cohesive group again.
Definitely.
Yeah. What do you think?
No, definitely. It's so hard. It's like getting back in shape. It's a muscle that's been out of shape, and now they're working it out,
Yeah. So moving on to... I think my favorite part of this episode, which is the awkward family dinner. It was... That is the best sound effect for what was going on here. It was so weird. And we talked about this a little bit before, how, Danielle's family helped her put together this meal, and there was so much pressure on her. And then the Jonases arrived, and you could tell there was just a little change in the room. She tried on 3 different outfits.
Exactly, that is hilarious.
She just had to impress them in every single way.
And it's like, just like any celebrity, like as soon as they walk into the room, like there's an aura, there's an energy where you just kind of have to match. And I know that Dani probably felt very like, well, I have to be the one to kind of be in control of the situation because I am the host. And you can even see it on her face now. It's just like, I hope I'm doing well. Oh God, what should I be doing? What should I be thinking? I love how that it was just playing when we were talking about it. But I mean, and then she just is trying to keep up with what is Mrs. Jonas's name? Denise.
Yeah.
She's trying to keep up with good, informative conversation, and I feel so bad because you can tell that in the back of Dani's head, she's like, I just really hope I'm not messing up and saying the wrong thing. And then she ends up doing that.
Yeah. Well, Denise said while they were kind of still preparing the meal, Denise was like, oh, are you going to heat up that chicken or else it'll get salmonella? And she was just very controlling. And Kevin said that it must be hard for Denise because she's always been the woman in the family. And now, since Danielle and Kevin have gotten married, they've kind of introduced this new dynamic, and there's 2 women, and they're kind of butting heads, but it's getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're just working out how to gel. They're not really sure where their relationship is. It's a work in progress. It doesn't seem bad. It doesn't seem amazing either. It seems like, Danielle's definitely a little nervous to be around her mother-in-law.
Yeah. And then when they finally sat down at dinner, they had this awkward conversation. Well, first they mentioned that they're going to not be going on tour, but having a couple dates or one date in the US and then doing a European tour, which is amazing for Jonas Brothers fans. And then they kind of got into talk about how this was going to affect Kevin and Danielle and starting a family. And we know that Danielle really, really wants to start a family, but the Jonases were just kind of wary about that.
Yeah, I mean, like Kevin said, he's like, our family dinners always end up being business meetings. And then it's like a business meeting incorporating like someone's pregnancy schedule. Like that, how does that even fit in a conversation together? And especially because Dani's sitting right there and she has no say in anything. Like, she can't say out loud to their family who runs the business, I don't want to be on tour and be pregnant. I don't want to be pregnant now. And they're pretty much putting the pressure on her like, well, we need to talk about this now.
Mm-hmm. And she said to them, or she said in her interview while she was on Married to Jonas, that she hates that it's being dictated like this. She doesn't get a choice in her own body and her own, timing of what she wants to do with her family.
I definitely empathize for her, but at the same time, I mean, they have a wonderful life, and she kind of knew what she was getting herself into. So she also has to be accepting of, you know, the Jonas Brothers and their band, and what you know, responsibility her husband has to his brothers.
And also, is she ready to have a kid at this age? She is still very young.
Very young.
So, do you think they're ready for it?
I wouldn't be if I were her. That's just a lot. I mean, it still seems like they're still working on their relationships, you know, on their dynamic, and then it obviously when a pregnancy comes around, everything just like intensifies. I don't know. I'm afraid to have in-laws.
This little baby sound coming in. No, I think that they could definitely handle it. They're very mature for their age, but I don't know that it would be the best timing with, you know, upcoming tour, upcoming album, how much promotion they're going to have to do for it. And while she does really want a family, it may, you know, they may want to wait a little bit longer.
There shouldn't be a rush.
Yeah, no rush. I mean, with the way she wants to have a baby at home with her family, and I don't blame her for that. I mean, most girls would want that support system. I mean, just take your time and wait to get there.
Yeah. She even said, she's like, I don't want to have a baby on the bus, like on tour with, you know, going around to a different state every night. Like, that would just be way too hectic for a child to endure.
Yeah. And it was funny when, you know, Denise would kind of jump in like, oh, well, I had Nick 6 weeks in on a tour or something.
I believe that the
he went on his first tour
the
at
father,
6 weeks or something, right?
What was it?
She said like, oh, well, you know what? I took Nick on tour and he was only 6 weeks old.
Yeah, they were both. They're from a very musical family, so the Jonas dad and mom both were. I think Denise was a singer, and the father was a songwriter and musician as well. Yeah.
I just kind of interpreted it as like, oh, well, I can do it. I did it. I'm sure you can do it too, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the Jonas Brothers did move around a lot when they were younger, so maybe they're used to that lifestyle. But for normal people, it's you have your kids, you settle down in one place, and you don't really move after that because you don't want to uproot them. But
anything is possible, but like she was also saying, you know, I have dreams too. I have ways that I see my future as well, and you know, why do I always have to be the one to give them up? You kind of like feel for her.
Mm-hmm. And again, that was a really cool conversation that they had in the room when the family finally left, and she was able to openly just kind of, you know, explain that to Kevin. Like, listen, I think I need some say in this as well, you know? That was very real. I'm
glad that he knows that she didn't feel included, and he made her feel more like this is their decision, and it's not like, while the family does, you know, get to put in their input, they don't have the final say. And that's further proof that he loves her so much, and that they're gonna work out. So it's nice to see.
Very nice to see.
Lots of love. I want to meet their dogs. Why didn't they like introduce their doggies? I think their doggies are so cute.
I forgot the name of the dogs, but they're adorable. They're like, what are they, teacup Yorkies?
Yeah. So they are kind of parents.
And did you hear in the first couple minutes of the show, he said, do you want another one? Like, they're gonna have another baby.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
another dog. Yeah, and she's obsessed with dogs, so that would work out perfectly. We're watching the awkward dinner right now.
So awkward.
I love it.
I was like feeling it for her. I was just like, oh my God, I would hate to be at this dinner.
Right.
Yeah. So, moving on, any news and gossip for us?
We have a little bit.
AfterBuzz TV News.
We have a little bit here. So, as we were mentioning, the guys are preparing for a comeback show after 3 years, after not performing or not recording. The guys are coming back to Radio City Music Hall.
Which is a huge venue.
Huge. And that's one thing that they discussed over dinner. They're all super excited about it. And they will be performing on October 11th for one night only. So they haven't opened, you know, the actual tour or any other dates, but we all know that they are coming back for a big, huge event, October 11th at Radio City Music Hall. It says they'll be playing some of their hits from before that everyone is already familiar with, and a couple of new hits on their upcoming album. So that's probably getting all the Jonas fans super hyped up and going crazy.
Super hyped up.
Yeah. Really excited. So we'll let you know when those tickets go on sale.
And I'm sure they'll sell out within minutes, nanoseconds.
We're not going to have any time, So we'll let you already know how quickly they sell out. And also, Mr. Joe Jonas, happy birthday, Joe. He just
Belated
turned 23.
birthday.
Yeah. He just turned 23.
Happy birthday.
Is that Paris?
Happy birthday.
He just turned 23 last Thursday, which was also the premiere of the new show that he's hosting. Oh, I'm sorry, he's one of the mentors on the CW music competition called The Next. And I don't know if you guys have checked this show out, but he's basically a mentor for you know, these music competitors, and they spend 72 hours with the contestant and kind of just, you know, give them pretty much a 72-hour run on just like training them to be a star.
I heard about that, where they actually have to live with their mentees.
Yes.
And that just must be some wild ride.
That's insane. Like, why? I would not sign up for that. I mean, I guess, of course, if you have the big, you know, that dream, who wouldn't just try something?
It would be awesome to live with one of your mentors and really get to pick their brain for however long.
Freak me out.
I mean, how lucky would you be if you actually got to be mentored by, you know, a superstar, and they get to teach you all their tips and tricks and give you this big arsenal of exciting things that you can do when you're on stage.
Yeah.
I mean,
and be really creepy and watch them while they're sleeping.
I wonder if there are any stalkers on that show.
Seriously.
That'd be freaky.
Joe wakes up and like there's some girl laying next to him like, you're
you.
so beautiful while you're sleeping.
Pic, Instagram. My mentor asleep. So creepy. Oh, so yeah. So of course, not only is Kevin on TV doing his thing, but Joe is also doing his thing and being a mentor. So good for the Jonases right now. I feel like they're getting a lot of exposure and getting back in the game. Also, something really interesting. Kevin and Dani got married in a castle in Long Island, and what's funny is he didn't know about this castle until he called up his friend Joey Fatone from NSYNC, and he's like, hey man, where's that place that you got married again, that really nice castle? And he pretty much told him, yeah, well, I got married at Oheka Castle in Long Island. And that's when Kevin discovered, like, all right, I can do that, let's do that. So Kevin and Dani wouldn't have found that castle that they got married in unless he went to Joey Fatone. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Aww. Some help from some fellow boy bander.
Boy band marriage wedding help.
Yeah.
Right there. So yeah, on top of that, everyone is just super excited about this show. I think #MTJ might have been trending earlier when it was airing over on the East Coast. So I think everyone is really excited to be invited into the home of the Jonases.
It seems like there are definitely good things to come for this show and for the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV.
The spooky music.
No.
So I want to know, what do you guys think is going to happen over the course of the season?
I mean, in the teaser, it looked like they had a lot of concern for Bucky DeLisa. Something about a heart attack, something about this and that. I mean, but they obviously think they're very caring about his health, so I hope it's not something serious in a way where he's like gonna die. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think over the course of the season, I think there's definitely going to be a rise of drama. You'll probably be able to see the change in how they're getting used to having the cameras around and how their lives are going to be magnified. So I'm excited to kind of see the intensity grow.
I think they look like a solid couple, and I'm just really excited to see some of the normal family drama unfold. And I think we'll see a lot more of that with the sisters and the brothers and, you know, the baby, no baby extravaganza plans of, you know, what they end up deciding to do. And it'll be really exciting to, you know, just see it all happen. And I'm sure the dad is going to be fine. He just probably needs to, you know, watch the cheeses, the heavy sauces, and maybe walk a little.
Well, it seems like he's getting enough exercise by laying concrete slabs in their backyard. I mean,
what a nice dad.
I just love that whole dynamic, how he comes over whenever he wants. But yeah, I hope to see a lot more of Bucky over the rest of this season. Yeah. And I'm really hoping, I mean, even after this first episode, I'm hoping that it gets renewed for a second season, because I love just seeing, you know, getting a little peek inside their life. It's so interesting to me.
I agree.
So cute.
Yeah. So we would love to keep this conversation open with you guys over the next week until our next episode. So make sure to tweet us. I'm going to let the girls give you their Twitter handles.
You can follow me on Twitter at Miss CeeLo, MISSC_LO.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Miss Manizer.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley. And you can follow all of us on Twitter at AFTERBUZZ TV. Make sure to tune in next week for another episode of Married to Jonas. And tune into AFTERBUZZTV.com to see a lot of other episodes of other great shows. Thanks so much.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.